Right, what's happening, people, and welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. We are back in the studio. We have had another round of Premier League fixtures, and unfortunately for myself, we've had another opportunity to see Chelsea drop points. I am, of course, talking about yesterday's game, the 0-0 draw between Bournemouth and Chelsea. And in this video, we are going to break down exactly what went wrong for Chelsea yesterday. However, although I'm feeling, I'd say, probably more empty rather than gutted after yesterday's performance. I mean, look, it was a 0-0 draw, not as bad as a loss, but also very, very hard to get excited about anything yesterday. But with every cloud does come a silver lining, and the silver lining today is I have got the main man, Josh Aveste, back in the studio with me. It feels like a while, Josh, doesn't it?
I know, it's too long. We can't have that break again. It's so good to be back, mate. I know it was a shit result, but it's good to be back with you, to see you. We chat about the game. We can have a bit of fun with it. Like, it's not all doom and gloom, is it? Come on.
It's not all doom and gloom, and obviously we will get into the positives from yesterday's game in this video, but there are negatives that we do need to address and that we do need to speak about. So, on the whole, what did you think of yesterday's game? Edge of your seat stuff, or?
For me, it feels a bit like a loss, to be fair. Like, do you agree?
Yeah, I would say so. It's very, very hard to come away, as I say, with a lot of positivity, because even at the minute, when things do sort of go well for us and we do have some good build-up play and create things and whatever, the underlying thing of anything is that we need 3 points in these matches. I'd rather play shit and, win a penalty and score and not have another shot on target and just get the 3 points over the line, because we've been conditioned now, week in, week out, even going back through last season, to being able to go, yeah, but we did some good stuff. We played some nice football here and there. No, it doesn't matter in the end, in my opinion. It's the 3 points that matter. And it's hard because yesterday's match started pretty well. I mean, we look at the lineup. Obviously, we had Modric in there. Caicedo was out. He was out sort of just not ready, I think, to come back into that lineup. Conor Gallagher captain in the side. Obviously, still having Levi Colwill at left back, but Levi Colwill didn't have a bad game. But as I say, it started off pretty well, and I was watching the game and I was thinking, okay, we're showing good creativity. Modric's getting in behind his man, and we were looking lively and had a lot of opportunities in that first half. But once again, the same pattern emerges, and that is that Chelsea Football Club just cannot, for love nor money, finish our dinner.
I know. I feel like the one for me that was the worst one was when Modric beats his man, cuts it back. Fair enough, right? He laces it at Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher has to do something. He almost sort of gets his knee / his chest towards it, and it's sort of like, just get something on the ball, direct it towards the goal, and he couldn't do it. And I feel like there was almost that moment for me where I was like, are we now going to be able to win it? And it just, like, it feels like that we keep having moments like that where it's just like, just get a head on the ball, get it down towards the goal, and we scored, but we just didn't, mate. And so I feel that was one of those ones where I was just like, are we going to score today?
Well, this is the thing, like, I think you mentioned this before, and it was a very, very good synopsis of exactly what you need to beat Chelsea at the moment. You need to turn up, you need to be up for it, you need to have a load of strong boys on the pitch, and you need to hold out. And that's very much what I would sort of echo as to your thoughts, in terms of you need to stay in the game against Chelsea, because early on we will create chances and we will be lively, and that's a pattern that doesn't just sort of date back to the start of this season. That is a pattern that has gone forward even over last season. We start off pretty lively, our creativity looks good. However, if you can get, and I say if, it's a very likely chance you will get to that 70-minute mark and the game is still in the balance, you're then looking at a game and you're thinking, mate, we almost need to somewhat hope for a draw here, because they can catch us on the counter. And as the game progressed yesterday, I'll give credit where credit's due to Bournemouth. Right towards the end of the game, I do actually think that, maybe on the run of play, you could argue that we deserved to win the game. We did have the better opportunities. We did hit the woodwork twice. But as the game went on yesterday, in that final 15 minutes where we should be pushing hell for leather to try and get that winner, would you agree with me? Bournemouth looked the more likely team to get a winner.
They did. They made chances, but I still think we deserve to win the game more than them. I have to say this though, mate. Like, we've played teams and lost against some very easy teams that we should be beating. And the reason why I said earlier on it felt like a loss to me was that Bournemouth are not that good. And fair enough, we've given them some credit and we've said they've played well. But quite frankly, we did enough in that game to win. And if we aren't winning those games, we've got a very tough run of fixtures coming up. And I am so concerned about where we are in 2 or 3 months' time. after those fixtures. I just don't know where we're going to end up. If we're still in 12th by Christmas, we're in big trouble.
Yeah, I think concerning is the key word you used there. And do you know what? I get exactly what you're saying. I actually do think Bournemouth are half decent, right? I think they're a half decent Premier League side. I think there's only maybe one or two teams in the league that aren't half decent and can't pose threats and on their day can't beat a top 6 club. However, Spurs have turned Bournemouth over. Liverpool have beat Bournemouth. The teams around us, or not even around us in the table, but we perceive to be around us in how we, sort of the stature we hold the club in, those teams will go and they will comfortably beat Bournemouth. Whether there's a scare or two in the match, it doesn't matter. They'll get the job done. And regardless of how run of play goes, regardless of the underlying numbers, the chances we create, we're just not getting the job done. Now, I want to look at yesterday's game, and more specifically, I want to look at Mauricio Pochettino's comments after the game. And I'm going to paraphrase here because I haven't got the exact comment in front of me, but he pretty much said in the press conference that no matter who you are, whether you're Man City, whether you're Arsenal, whether you're Liverpool, if any team had the amount of injuries and the personnel missing for selection from yesterday's game that Chelsea had, they would struggle. And obviously on stream, you can see I've made up an 11 here of the players that missed out yesterday. So let's just quickly go through that. Bettinelli, he's never getting a game. Never getting a game. Reece James, first team starter, could very well change the game if he's on the pitch. I'm not saying within actual goal contributions, but the mentality he brings to the pitch, chest puffed out, taking the game by the scruff of the neck and almost leading by example to the rest of the boys. I do think there is one game changer there. Fofana, decent player.
Very decent. Come on, young player. He is probably an upgrade on Disasi if he's fully fit.
But can you, the same way I just said about Reece James, wholeheartedly say in all confidence that if Fofana's on that pitch yesterday, it's a different game?
I don't think yesterday it would make a difference, but I think going forward, if you look at next season, Thiago Silva, where, sort of slowing down, let's be honest. Disasi, I think people have questioned him. I don't think he is as bad as what people are saying, but I do think Fofana can come in and he could replace him very, very easily long term. So yeah, difference maker yesterday, no. Obviously, it was a clean sheet as well. We have to give credit to the boys in defence because we haven't had too many clean sheets recently. So fair enough to them. But I don't think he was making a difference the other day, but I think he would make a difference in the long term.
And that's where it's a struggle to talk about the centre-back pairing in this injured or unavailable for selection XI, because in Benoit Badiashile, I see a brilliant player, a player that I really, really rate massively. However, again, I can't say wholeheartedly that he would have been a difference maker yesterday. That being said, though, he did score at the Vitality last season. Chalobah, again, a player I rate, can't say would be a difference maker. Caicedo, a player in that lineup that I think both me and you would agree with, maybe hasn't hit the height straight away of what we were expecting from him coming in, but I have definitely by no means given up hope on Caicedo, and I still think he's going to be a very decent player. He's one that I do believe could have been a difference maker yesterday, potentially. Lavia, we really don't know what we're going to get from him yesterday, but then we move on to the front line, and actually I would say that all three in that front line that I've got there could be difference makers yesterday. Madueke, we've seen what he's done. Broa, me and you are both very excited to see him come back. But I'll let you talk about the man, Christopher Nkunku. How important is it that we get him back on the pitch for us and performing to the level that we have seen from him in the Bundesliga and a little bit of in pre-season?
It's essential. When you look at it, we keep talking about the average age of the squad, and the average age of the squad at the moment is 22, 21 and a half. It's incredibly, incredibly low. Nkunku was one of the only senior level signings that we did, all summer. And fair enough, he came in January, but didn't come until the summer. He has got to be integrated into the squad. And I almost don't know quite where he's going to actually fit in, because we've got a bit of a lapse area in the left-hand side, let's be honest. And we obviously really need an attacking midfielder as well. So whether he fits in either way, regardless of where he actually plays, he's going to come in, he's going to be able to beat men, he's going to be able to lay on assists, he's going to be able to lay on goals. All of those things we need more than anything. So we are desperately, desperately missing him. Imagine if you had Bruno Fernandes for Man United missing for half the season, if you had Odegaard for Arsenal missing for half the season, Maddison for Spurs for half the season. That's the level of miss that we're losing here. And let's not beat around the bush here. The number 10 position is something which is mercurial in football and can unlock games in a way that like other positions just can't, right? So I think he has that ability to just completely change games. And when we're talking about like a 0-0 draw against, yes, I nearly said 0-0 loss because that's how bad it feels. But
Lost
like
0-0.
Yeah, lost 0-0. But like if we're talking about that and like a lack of creativity, fair enough, we hit the post and everything, but we weren't scoring goals. We need someone that can lay on something like that.
Right. I completely agree with you, but I'm going to play devil's advocate for the sake of the audience here, right? So let's go a bit of good cop, bad cop here. I'll be the bad cop, yeah? You're saying all this about Christopher Nkunku. You've never seen him make a Premier League appearance. He looked good in pre-season, but so did Nicholas Jackson. And so far, Nicholas Jackson has proved to look a little bit wasteful in front of goal. However, I do think he's been unlucky at times as well. Are you realistically saying that Christopher Nkunku comes into this team and changes things completely?
Yes.
You are.
It's that simple, mate. Yeah, because like you say in pre-season, he made Jackson look good. Like that's what I'm saying. I think he will make Jackson look better. When you're talking about marking a particular player, right, you go, right, it's very easy at the moment to isolate Jackson because effectively you've got two fairly wide wingers, especially when Modric is playing, like fairly wide on the side. You've got Enzo behind him who isn't really like a very attacking number 10 per se. So like I almost think, and I want to look at the data around this and I want to look at how our formation was, but like I feel like he is isolated, right? And if you've got Nkunku next to him playing 1-2s off him, like being almost that free role, I almost want to see like a free number 10 and just let Nkunku go wherever he wants to. I think we really missed that actually. That's where you unlock Jackson. Maybe that's where you unlock Modric as well. Like give Modric a bit of space, like draw people towards Nkunku. He's the threat, and then Modric has got a bit more space. Same for Sterling on the other side. So I think he makes all of those other players look better, and I feel that it will make a difference for the team.
Do you know what I worry about?
Yeah.
Nkunku is obviously not as young as Modric, but you look at the way that Modric has performed since coming in, and no one can sit here and tell me that Modric does not at times look like a deer in the headlights. He definitely does. He definitely looks at times a little bit overawed by the occasion. That is a player that has come in, with a heavy price tag, but we haven't hung our hopes on Modric. We haven't, as a fan base, gone, but when Modric comes in and starts playing well, it's going to be different. So right now, I get Nkunku's a bit older. He's a bit more battle-worn than Modric would be. But right now, this player hasn't played a match for us. And we as a fan base, myself included, by the way, I'm just giving the devil's advocate point of view on this. I agree with you, Josh. Myself included, we're going, but when Nkunku comes back, how much pressure is that going to put on that boy's shoulders? We're looking at Modric, who hasn't had to come back from injury and hasn't had to have the whole fan base going, he's the sort of key to our problems there. And even he has struggled to come into this side. So how can we realistically go, Nkunku's just going to take the weight of the fan base on his shoulders and our expectations on his shoulders and fly us through? Maybe he will. You mentioned Bruno Fernandes there. Bruno Fernandes is the one absolute rarity in modern-day Manchester United of a player that has come in, hit the ground running and elevated the club straight away. It's very rare that there's a Man United player that has done that. And Bruno did do that when he came in a really tough time for Man United. But for every one example like a Bruno Fernandes I can give you that does happen, I could probably give you 100 where it doesn't. So I just want to harness my expectations slightly and say, okay, let's not put that sort of weight on Nkunku straight away. If we're winning games and Nkunku comes back, I think it's brilliant. I think he slots in nicely. But if we're not winning games by December when he comes back, I think we're going to really struggle. We might be in for another fourth storm, which we know have been all too a common occurrence for Chelsea when he does come back. But look, let's move on to the underlying stats. You're a bit more of a statmatician than I. Is that a word?
Statman.
Statman. We use it. Listen, you're a bit more of one than I am. The underlying stats for Chelsea look really, really good. I know people's blood will be boiling as I'm saying this. Bear with me. Let me make my point. So let's go through a few of them, right? So at the moment, we're first for touches, first for crosses, second for passes, second for times that a club have hit the woodwork with 4 shots coming off either post or crossbar so far. We're third for through balls, fourth for shots. So those underlying stats, right, especially when you look at the teams around us, believe me now, there's no Luton, no Sheffield, no Everton anywhere near the top 10 when it comes to those underlying stats. Every single metric there that I've just ranked, the teams around us are your Brightons, are your Liverpools, are your Cities, are your Arsenals, yeah? That's always what it is there. So if you look at that and you look at the company we're joined in when we're ranking so high up on that, anyone who's really stat-minded would say, well, no, don't worry, because all your numbers are really good, but it's going to come good. But Chelsea fans, myself included, are almost tired of hearing it. And I say hearing it, I've spoke about it as of you, so it's not like we're not guilty of this. But does it mean anything? Do these stats actually mean anything?
I think at the start of the season, when you've got a limited data pool, you've got to really question the validity of stats, right? The only way that stats are important are really when you look at it over a year or a couple of years period. And I don't think you can really do that for Chelsea because, quite frankly, we got a brand new team. The reason why there's a massive caveat to all of the stats that you've just mentioned there is that we have played a fairly easy set of fixtures so far this season, right? I would say that Liverpool, West Ham are the only ones that really sort of stick out to me as being like incredibly difficult.
Liverpool
fixtures.
being our best performance so far as well.
Yeah, right. And that was first game of the season.
We played better against Liverpool than we did against Luton, a match that me and you were in attendance for.
Yeah,
Liverpool
we probably should have won. We probably should have won that Liverpool game, right? And the West Ham game, again, was disingenuous. We didn't deserve to go down 3-1. We could have been 2-1 up after a penalty. So, like, the reason why I'm not putting too much credibility into those stats is because I just think the data pool that they're going against, it's just easy matches. And so I almost want to look at that and I go, after the run that we're about to have when we're playing Brighton, Spurs, Arsenal, City, like we've got some big fixtures coming up, and I bet you they won't be as favourable within those games.
Again, I'm going to play devil's advocate to that. We just both agreed there, didn't we? The best we've seen us play was against Liverpool.
Yeah.
So maybe there is something that comes into it where you go, do you know what? Maybe when we do come up against the big boys, and I know you can point to our record against the big 7 teams last season, and it was abysmal, failing to win one single match against the top 7 side, but maybe, and this is small hope, and we're hanging on to any sort of hope we can get in a minute, maybe that could be the catalyst going forward when we play some of these teams. Because I'll tell you what, right? I said to you yesterday, we were on the kickoff yesterday. If you're not watching the kickoff, make sure you are. Me and Josh are on there every single week. But we were saying yesterday, weren't we, that if we were to get a late winner here, this is sort of 90 minutes in, if we were to get a late winner here, this could be the catalyst, this could drive us forward, massive momentum builder. It didn't happen. We all know that. But potentially, if we go and get a win over a Villa, who are doing really well at the minute and look a good side, if we go and get a win against the Spurs, who, you know, are high flying, or any of those teams, even Brighton in the Cup, a match that I'll be at, if we can get a win in any of those matches, it surely can push us on and put us in a position where it's like, right, okay, we're ready to go now. We saw it with Man United last season. Man United lost their opening 2 games, ended up winning 3-2 against Liverpool at Old Trafford, and were able to really, really push on from there.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, more than anything we need with our squad right now, we've got a squad of incredibly young players. You know what they need more than anything is confidence, right? So if Modric goes in and, to a game coming up and he plays and he gets a run of games, which I think he deserves now. I think his performance yesterday deserved like now a run of matches. If he gets a goal, Jackson bags a brace in the cup or something similar to that, right? Then the gloves are off. You know, these boys are going to come good. But it's like, if we keep having match upon match where Modric doesn't get a goal or an assist, Jackson isn't bagging goals, Sterling's still missing out, I do worry about what it's going to mean for their confidence going forward. And I think there's going to be a time very, very soon where the data is going to suggest that it's actually the players playing, not slotting the goals in, which means that we're then going to have to go into the market. And that's why I have a very strong feeling that January is going to be very big for a big time striker. I think that's the only area of the pitch that they're now looking at and going, we still need some possible reinforcements in a serious way.
I think we could speak about that in so much depth that we'll leave it to another video.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about this big time striker, we like to do this. We've never planned this. Should we go on 3? Who it needs to be?
Go on then.
1, 2, 3.
Tony.
Ivan Toney. Yeah.
It's got to be. The stars are aligning, hasn't they? The band's over in January. Like, it just feels like he's the one. Like, he's a clinical striker. I don't know if the age profile matches up as well as the other ones.
No, don't say that to me, mate. It does.
Yeah.
The age profile's fine. That's one thing we need. Like, I get what you're saying. I don't think that's necessarily your opinion. That's more what you're saying about that's what the club see and the vision the club have. But in my opinion, we need someone of that age. You know what I mean? And honestly, like, I don't even think it's a gamble with Ivan Toney. You know what I mean? I actually don't know. Like, I actually think that you come in and he's a sure thing. A lot more of a sure thing than Modric. A lot more of a sure thing than a lot of the players we've brought in. There's too many to name. Speaking of players, let's cap it off on this. Little bit more positivity. One man that has come under heavy fire, I wouldn't say heavy fire, I think he's been rightly criticised to an extent by me. You've stuck up for him quite often, but you have also had things to say here and there about his performance, maybe a lesser account of what I have said. But one man who definitely deserves credit for us taking a point away from that game yesterday is Robert Sanchez.
Unbelievable saves.
Ridiculously good yesterday.
Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah.
But this is the thing, like with goalkeepers, we were talking about it when we were talking about the Arsenal goalkeepers yesterday, about how they rotate. Goalkeepers need to know that they've got the confidence of the manager and the support of the team. And I almost think that Sanchez is now, I loved it the other day, by the way. I saw something in the tunnel of the cup game where he was going, come on lads, like get out for the game. He was really playing like a leadership role, right? And I loved that about him. And I thought that's something that we're really missing. And I'm always like, right, just give him the keys, mate. Like, he's got to be the number one. So I was really, really impressed with him. And I think now you just got to go, give him a chance. This other guy, Petrovic, we don't know anything about him.
And people do this all the time though, don't they? They go, Petrovic needs to be played. It's like, you have never fucking watched Petrovic. Neither have I. What are you going on about? Like,
literally.
And
so how can anyone say?
Good. Hopefully Petrovic comes good. I wish well for every single player, even the ones that I've mentioned and dug out a little bit like Modric. I wish well for every single one of them, but Sanchez is one that I need to hold my hands up. I always do this. You know, I've had words about Sterling before. I've had words about plenty of players. Sanchez, I said I didn't see long-term him being up to the job and being a massive upgrade on Kepa. I'm not drawing a line here and saying he definitely is, but yesterday's performance was very, very good, and he will have my backing, as every Chelsea player does, by the way, in that lineup, going forward.
There's a lot of slander going on about Sanchez, about how he was the third choice goalkeeper at Brighton. He was dropped for Brighton because he said he wanted to leave. Like, come on, let's just get rid of that narrative. Like, he was starting for Brighton.
And also, Steele is a good goalkeeper.
Yeah,
like, he's decent. He would probably start for us as well, to be fair. So good with his feet as well, surprisingly. Another man that impressed both of us yesterday, Nkunku.
Yeah, he's really good. And now I think I like the way he plays so much, and I like how he's just the rock of the defence and in the defensive midfield position. I almost think now, do we end up just playing him, mate? Do we end up just having him and Caicedo together? And we'll get into our lineups going forward. But like, I'm thinking, I love the way that he slots in so well that I think it could allow Chilwell and Gusto or Reece James to play as those flying wing backs. Have Nkunku as the guy that sort of drops in, makes the three. Because, you know, Pochettino loves this effective three, right? So maybe that's the way he gets what he wants. He then has Caicedo next to him. I just think he was brilliant. I think he was very, very composed. He's 19 years old. He's strong. He's able to do just very simple passes. I just thought he was really good. What do you think?
Comfortable on the ball, wasn't he? He looked really comfortable on the ball. Physically, I like him. I like his stature. I like his shape for that sort of position on the pitch. I think there's going to be a massive headache when Lavia comes back in. And I'll tell you one thing, right? People will be very quick, and rightly so, to cast judgment on Chelsea's transfer business. But I will put my neck on the line here. If we would sell Nkunku, and I'm not saying I want us to at all, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind we at minimum double the money we spent on him. We got him in for about 25 million.
Yeah, it's cheap.
He looks a good player. He's one that I think can be a vital cog in this side going forward.
Yeah, and I think this is a bit of credit that we need to give for Pochettino. He's not getting a lot of credit at the moment, so we need to give every little bit that we can, right? Yeah. I think he had a very straight choice to make. He had Santos and he had Nkunku. He saw them both in pre-season. Nkunku apparently was the one that was going to go out on loan, going to Strasbourg, whatever it was, right? And he's gone, no, I like his profile. I like how strong he is. Santos was like more of a, I would say he was more of like an Enzo kind of player. And he's like, right, I've got that role filled. He's gone to Forest. He's not even playing.
Right, people, we want to know your thoughts. I'm getting a lot of you lot message me in my inbox and telling me exactly what you thought of the game yesterday, but very interested to hear your thoughts in the comment section to this video. When this video drops, I will be reading your comments. I'll try and get back to as many of you as I possibly can, and I want you to do me a massive favour once again. However, I say it's a massive favour, you're doing yourself a favour. Josh has come out of his way this Monday morning to give us his time once again. I know he's a fan favourite of you lot on the channel. He's a fan favourite of mine, and I want you to make sure that you are in the right place at the right time for when he uploads his content off of his channel, Josh.Aveste on YouTube. It's linked in the description. So go in the description, click the link. Josh's channel's in there. The link to my Instagram page is also in there, where I interact with a lot of you lot as well. So definitely follow me on there. And in the next video that you see come out from us, we will be discussing whether or not Chelsea's Champions League dream is over already. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. That'll be dropping maybe tomorrow or next couple of days, definitely. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Please do this for me, because I've had a look on the analytics page and not a lot of you lot that are watching this are subscribed to the channel. I don't need to tell you how much it massively helps out myself and other creators that you're not subscribed to if you subscribe to their channel. So please, please, please do that. Don't rely on YouTube recommendations bringing me up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'd be very, very appreciative of it. Click the bell so that you get a notification every time one of my videos goes live, and I will see you all in the next one.